Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff, and welcome to the final episode of Cheap Knife Week, Volume 4. Today, we're ending on a bang. We're taking a look at the Cold Steel Kudu Lite. I've had this knife for a long time, and it's finally time to tell you guys what I think about it. So, let's not waste any more time, and let's jump right into this. So, blade length measurement. This is definitely our biggest blade of the week. Coming in here just a little bit over 4 inches of sharpened edge. If we measure all the way back, we're approaching about 4 1/4. We'll call it 4 1/4. So yeah, definitely more than a full-size knife. This is a big boy. Let's go ahead and get our comparison knives out here. Excuse me. There's our Wrap Model 1 and our Wrap Model 2. And yeah, in true cold steel fashion, it's the largest knife on the table, so there you go. All right, let's go ahead and grab our Civivis. Where are they? There we go. There's our Elementum. And there's our Praxis. Very, very cool. Again, the Praxis is normally considered a large knife, but looking a little short today. And let's bring out our PM2 and our bug out. Awesome. And because it's a cold steel, let's go ahead and compare it against a couple other cold steels that I've got laying around today. Happen to have the Engage on the desk, and I also have the 8010 on the desk. So there you go. You know, I notice a pattern with all of my cold steel knives. They all constantly have dirty, scratched blades. I like using my cold steels. I will say, cold steel does a beautiful satin finish. And in fact, I did like a mirror polish on this guy. They do a beautiful satin finish, but I wish they would stonewash more of their stuff, because as hard as I use a lot of cold steel knives, I appreciate the stonewash they do, and they do a great stonewash. Like on the 4 Max Scout, that's a beautiful stonewash. But we are getting way off topic. So let's go ahead and talk about the materials on this guy. We've got plastic scales. I know cold steel's got a fancy name for them, but plastic. This is a slip joint. We've got this huge back spring back here, and this big clip point blade is made of 5CR15 MOV. So, you know, not great steel, but hey, it's a very cheap knife. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get to the cutting footage. Alrighty guys, I lost the cutting footage for the Cold Steel Kudu Lite. So here we are, doing it again. Let's go ahead and get right into this. Let's start off by talking about our action. Slip joint, ugh, I'm in the shadows here. You know what, screw it. Still trying to figure out how I want to deal with this little tiny table, but let's see here. Loosen up a little bit. Oh, guys, professionalism, right? All right, there we go. Tighten that down. Ta-da! Okay, so here we go. It is a slip joint. We have a very well-defined half stop, and pretty snappy. You do have a nail nick here, but you don't really need to use the nail nick. You've got enough blades sticking out here that you can just grab, and you're ready to go, right? So, I mean, it's a massive slip joint. It's got good, solid walk and talk, but it's not like so hard that you can't use it easily. So, as far as the action goes, I think it's actually really, really good. Also, one thing I do want to point out is that this thing is sintered, so if that's important. Next, let's talk about the ergonomics. Pretty neutral. The handle's a little bit rounded. Feels like holding a stick. There's nothing super wrong with the ergonomics. You've got a little bit of like a pistol grip back here, so I guess you can chop. It's kind of like a pistol grip in the sense like an old Kentucky pistol. But, I mean, I'm not sure why you'd want to chop with a slip joint and one with such a thin blade. But, yeah, comfortable ergos. And as you're grabbing the knife here, you're going to be pushing down You're going to be putting pressure on this plate here that's going to stop it from unlocking. So that's cool. All right, let's talk about the carry. No pocket clip or anything, so this is pretty much a pocket dropper. Some people are going to like that more than others. You could probably find a slip for this. I'll be honest, here's how I was carrying it. Here's how I found myself carrying this thing quite often. Let's loosen this again. Ugh, been having tripod troubles. As you guys know, because, so my other tripod died on me, and so I went and bought a new one, and so I'm still breaking it in. All right, there we go. So one of the ways I was carrying this was honestly just tucking it in my waistband. And like when I was home on the ranch working and stuff, I found myself just kind of doing that, and it worked. Another thing, like hoodie pocket, throw in there. Of course, you can just pocket drop it like that. Get a pocket slip, get a belt sheath, something. You can work that out, and this is going to be part of this knife that some people are going to be fine with finding an alternative method to carry this. Other people are going to hate that it doesn't have a pocket clip, it doesn't come with a slip or anything. So that, depending on who you are, that may be one of the bigger flaws with this knife. All right, let's go ahead and do some cutting. Shall we? So, oh goodness, let's get this worked out. 5CR clip point blade, very thin, very slicey. Gosh, I hate this camera angle. I kind of hate everything about this. I miss my truck. You know what? That's the moral of the story. I miss my truck. Yeah, this thing is basically a razor blade. It's fantastic for slicing. Let's actually do some utility cuts, because you can actually get to the blade for utility cuts, which that was a terrible example, but there you go. So, awesome. All right, let's grab our rope here. Let's do a rope pull. Beautiful, beautiful. Go ahead and crunch on this little guy. Not real great there. However, we have a thin blade. There's not a whole lot of weight behind it, and it's a little bit hard to get some leverage down on there. So the fact that it didn't do good on that rope test is not really a negative. It's just kind of what you're going to expect with the kind of knife this is. All right, pull needle time. Let's do it. Whoops. Go. All right, so very nice and consistent. We were able to get a little bit thin. I got hung up on something here on that one there, but overall, this might just be the sliciest cold steel I've ever handled. It's pretty great. If slicing is what you're looking for, this thing is very, very slicey, and that edge is going to be easy to maintain because it's 5CR steel. So there we go. Let's get back to the table. And I wish I had, you know what? I'm going to make a mess here that I have to clean up, but I've missed doing the knife throws. So there we go. Well, guys, that's it. My tripod gave up the ghost between shots. I have to go get a new tripod. The one oh gosh, you just see what I've got right now. This Redneck Engineering holding it up, or at least what's left of its corpse. Yeah, this is an interesting development. Oh well, tripod issues aside, let's go ahead and finish this review. So, Cold Steel Kudu Lite. Um, I was really, really impressed by this thing. We're just gonna start that off by saying that. Let's talk about a couple things I like. Number one, I do kind of like all the inlay here with that's kind of the kudu skull, and obviously the kudu is a type of antelope. I wish I had a kudu model out here, or at least I wish I owned one so I could put it out here. Got a white-tailed deer over there, and the tiniest deer shed I've ever found. But yeah, no kudus. I do have a pronghorn horn somewhere around here, but pronghorns are not true antelopes, so can't put that up. But anyways, yeah, that's kind of cool. This knife here is designed after a folding knife that's popular in Africa, that I guess is pretty widespread. You can buy at pretty much any shop, and so it's cool to see kind of a modern ish take on that. So yeah, I think the idea behind this knife and everything is pretty cool. Next thing, this thing has got some pretty insane walk and talk. Holy cow, did you hear that snap? Now, for those of you who don't know, when you're talking about a slip joint knife, the walk and talk are terms that we refer to with the action. I'm sure a lot of you don't need me to explain this, but we're going to anyways. So the walk is kind of the pull. It's how the blade comes out. So in this case, we do have a half stop, a very pronounced half stop, and then the talk is the sound it makes. And yeah, this thing, also look at all the hay falling out of this. When I went home to visit my folks for Thanksgiving, I was using this on the ranch, and it still is full of hay. Yeah, great walk and talk. Very, very strong. And speaking of strength, this is a slip joint that I don't think you're ever going to fail with, or oh gosh, how do I say this? This is not a slip joint that I think is likely to fail during use. So instead of having a traditional back spring like I should have brought out another slip joint for this. I think I've got one right here. Where's my case knife? I don't have any of my case knives here. Oh, but I do have. There we go. I've got my Rough Rider. So instead of a traditional back spring like you see here, this knife has a huge spring there on the back. Let me put this away. There we go. And because it's so wide here with lots of surface area, as you grip this knife, you're putting pressure down on the tang of the blade, meaning that it's very unlikely to come loose on you. That's really cool. This makes a non-locking knife into basically a locking knife. It's a very, very safe lock for a non-locking knife. So, pretty wordy, but you guys get what I'm saying. It's a very cool idea. Next thing, let's talk about this blade. 4 inches of just sliciness. And look how reflective that is. You can see me and my uncombed hair this morning. Hi, guys. And also my beat-up old phone. But yeah, very slicey. This is a full flat grind. Comes down to a very, very thin edge. Look at that tip there. And this is basically a 4-inch razor. This thing was screaming sharp out of the box. 5CR steel is nothing to get excited about, right? But it's going to be easy to maintain, and this is going to be an easy knife to sharpen. You are going to be able to keep this razor sharp for a long, long time. And yeah, this is just a great blade. It is a clip point, but that tip does come down low enough that if you really needed to do some utility cuts, you could. Got plenty of straight, got a little bit of belly out here. If you're going to be doing slicing and stuff, this is a great blade shape. I really enjoyed using it. And yeah, this thing is basically just a huge razor blade. Let's talk about the ergonomics. So this handle is interesting. This is, I guess technically this is an integral. It's funny talking about integrals and integrals. For me, when it comes to knives, I always refer to them as integrals because integral to me reminds me of mathematics and solving your indefinite integrals and things like that. But anyways, so yeah, this is just one piece of injection molded plastic. It has kind of a wood texture to it. Come on, zoom in here, camera. Vol.4, thank you. Kind of a wood texture to it, which is neat. But it's also kind of rounded. It's a slim knife, but it fits in the hand. I mean, I can just about get 2 hands on this thing. It's very comfortable ergonomically speaking. Very neutral grip. You can get back here, I guess, if you want to do any chopping with your slip joint. Would not recommend doing that, but I guess you technically could. But yeah, very, very nice on the handles. And the overall construction of this thing is pretty simple, so I like that. All right, let's go ahead and get onto some things that I don't like. The first thing I'm going to mention is that I've had a couple people tell me that they've had the springs on the back of theirs break and fail and stuff. I have not experienced that, so I can't speak on that personally, but I will pass along what I have heard. I also kind of wish they had the inlays on both sides, but that's, super, super tiny complaint. Honestly, there's not a whole lot to complain about, right? You only have this one screw. If you need to take the blade out, you can do that. Maybe I could complain about like the branding being all over the place. I'm not a big fan of these mirror finish blades, but here's the thing. This knife is less than $10. You can pick these up for anywhere between $7 and $10. At that price, I find it really hard to complain about anything on this guy. This is a very, very cool knife, and definitely I'd seen the Kudu and the Kudu Lite around on different knife retailers and stuff, and it never appealed to me. I was like, oh, it's a big slip joint or whatever. I don't really need that. And then I saw this one at Tractor Supply in the blister pack back in August. And I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and pick that up. And I did, just because, it was $10. And I'm glad I did, because this thing is awesome. This thing is really, really cool. And I was not expecting to like it as much as I do, but I really do like it. So before I say too much, we're going to go ahead and end the video here. Tune in tomorrow where we take this knife and this knife and this knife and this knife and one more. Where did the bomb bat go? There he is. And this knife. And we're going to rank them all from worst to best. It's going to be a hard one this year, guys. Normally when we do Cheap Knife Week, there's at least 1 or 2 knives that are definitely bad. Nothing we've reviewed this week has been outright trash. So it's going to be a little bit of a different ranking. We're going to have to think pretty hard about this. So can't wait to do that with you guys. Until then, if you like the video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon. I'll see you tomorrow. Adios.